Good afternoon. Here we are with contestant number 2 in the cornbread dressing cook-off here in Temple, Texas. The first cook, it's going to be hard to beat with that sausage cornbread dressing. But I'm going into the book of tricks. I'm going to the Hillbilly Kitchen, and I'm going to make an heirloom cornbread recipe to start with. I'm just making the cornbread today. We'll let it sit overnight so it'll dry out, and then tomorrow we'll start phase 2 and do the dressing. The first step though.
What all ingredients do we have here, buddy?
Well, I've got a cup of cornmeal, a cup of all-purpose flour, 2 tablespoons of butter, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Once I pour this in with the flour and the cornmeal and mix it, I'll use the same cup to pour 1 cup of milk.
All right, cook 'em horns.
Now what I'm going to do, I've got the oven preheating at 350. Now you might notice it says 370, but we've got a thermometer inside, and we go by the internal temperature of the oven, not what it says on top.
Because our oven's 20 years old.
Well, you might want to check your oven too. Now I've got a skillet preheating. And in this skillet, we're going to start browning this butter. We're going to let it melt down. It does 2 things. It changes the flavor of the butter, and it also greases the skillet. I'm just going to let this sit and melt on the stove top. And while that's doing that, we'll come over here and we'll get this show on the road. Oh, I forgot to mention, probably most important, 2 tablespoons of honey. We're using clover honey. No sugar in this. So we're going to put 1 cup of cornmeal there, 1 cup of all-purpose flour in there, 1/4 tablespoon of salt, 2 teaspoons for everything here, of baking powder. We're going to mix that in there. We're going to mix our dry ingredients. Now, I've listened to the Hillbilly Kitchen cook on her videos. She's on YouTube, you can find her. And she says you can make your cornbread, you can vary the amounts of flour and the amounts of cornmeal to suit your own taste. I'm starting with 1 cup of each. And like Linda, contestant number 1, yesterday, this is the first time I've ever made cornbread from scratch. And I may or may not like it. After all, it's tough to beat that Jiffy Lube.
Making fun of me. All right.
All right, so I've got the mixed ingredients there. Dry ingredients.
I said Jiffy Lube instead of Jiffy Mix, and now he won't let me forget it.
I'm going to use that same cup. You know, a good cook, if you also have to be your own dishwasher, you try not to mess up any more than you have to. But we're going to get 1 cup of milk. I am varying. Don't show them that. I'm varying the recipe from the Hillbilly Kitchen.
You don't want to wash the dishes, but you're going to have to wash that countertop.
I can get that. She uses buttermilk, but I don't have any buttermilk.
You can make buttermilk.
I know, but she said you can use anything from skim milk
All right.
to that evaporated milk in a can. Yeah, you've made buttermilk before.
Sure have.
So we're going to do that.
I prefer to just buy it, though. It's kind of a thorn to try to make it.
We're going to get this honey in there. That is some good honey. We
Best honey I've ever had.
we get it down at Walker Honey Farm.
And they can find a video on our page of the Walker Honey Farm tour.
Tour that we took, yeah. All right, that's close enough for government work. And we're gonna mix this up. And hopefully it'll look like corn batter. Well, that's starting to look good. This is real thick.
Mine was thick.
All right, bear with me. We're gonna lubricate, grease in other words. And then we're gonna pour our butter. Ooh, that's hot. And we'll mix a little butter in with that. Yeah, this. I guess this is the one bad thing about a whisk, huh? It'd be
Oh, I wished I had something else to use. Sorry.
That's good.
That was Elmer Fudd. Okay.
Okay. Well, here we go. We're going to put this in the skillet. Now, this is going to be smaller than what contestant number 1 did yesterday because this is only 2 cups of the dry ingredients, basically. I might have to increase it when I make dressing for 6 or 8 people.
On Thanksgiving. This is just a test batch.
Test batch. Another thing she said is, of course, your preheated skillet is going to start cooking the cornbread immediately, but that hot melted butter does the same thing. It starts helping the cooking process before we even get it in the oven. This is probably close enough for government work. We're going to put this in here. We're going to set a timer for, we're going to check it in 25 minutes. Wish us luck, and we'll be back.
Why are you taking that out of the oven?
Well,
Oh, I would have just mixed it right there in the pan.
I'm not going to do that. Because, just like my first test batch,
cornbread that failed?
I forgot the egg again.
How'd you do that?
I don't know.
Your recipe's right here.
I know. You looked at it too.
1 egg. I was just looking at what size measurements you needed. I thought you had your egg out already.
Dang. This probably messed it up.
Well, do you want to just throw this away and start over?
No, we'll try it. We'll try it.
But you said it already started cooking.
Well, but it's not cooked. That's good. We'll mix that egg in there.
You want to put your skillet back in the oven to get hot?
Nah, it's to be hot.
Well, at least you remembered it before you cooked it. If I do remember correctly, your first cornbread that failed, you forgot the egg.
On purpose that time, though.
Well, if this doesn't turn out, I think we should give you a second chance because...
Well, technically, it'll be my third chance.
Well, but just in case adding it after the fact messes up.
I don't think it will.
Okay, well, let's see what happens. It still looks good.
Yeah.
We should have thought about that when you said how thick it was. So look
Yeah,
at all your recipes.
This definitely thinned it up a bit. Now, all right. We said we would include our bloopers, and there's mine.
It's all right.
Which is worse?
Sometimes
Which is worse?
Mistakes
Which
make
is
happy
wor-
endings.
Which is worse? Forgetting an egg or calling Jiffy Mix Jiffy Lube?
I think calling Jiffy Mix Jiffy Lube that's what I said. Because you caught this. I didn't even catch it until you said something.
That looks a lot better.
It does look a lot better. I'm sure it's going to turn out fine. Little happy accidents make flavorful food.
There we go. Take. Okay, folks, we have cooked that cornbread for 25 minutes. Don't know if that's long enough or not. What do you think? Looks pretty clean.
Looks clean to me.
Okay.
And it's pulled away from the pan.
Pulled away from the pan. Should I take it out of the pan? Because it's still cooking. Well, after further investigation, even though this skillet's still hot and still cooking the cornbread, we have learned that we're supposed to let it sit in here 15 minutes before we pull it out of the pan. So I'm going to set a timer. And go from there. Okay, we have let this cornbread continue to cook in the hot skillet for 15 minutes. I'm going to see if I can get it out. Oh yeah, it's moving. Oh yeah. Voila. I'm gonna let it cool, but I'm gonna leave it out whole overnight just so it'll dry out more. And tomorrow we'll continue and finish the cornbread dressing. See you tomorrow. Well, here we are. Day 2. The cornbread is cooled overnight, dried out. Hopefully some. We'll find out here shortly. Hey, Linda, hand me my apron. Ta-da! Thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay. In case you are wondering, I remembered my eggs, this part of it. I made it was kind of really, to be honest, it's a small batch of cornbread. When I make it, if we end up making this one for Thanksgiving, I'm gonna make 2 of these cornbreads. But here we got overnight, dried out, hopefully, cornbread. What we have here, I've gone ahead and coated the inside of that dish with butter, 9 by 13. We're gonna have to check the moisture of the cornbread dressing. We'll use between 2 and 2.5 cups of chicken broth. I've got 3 eggs, 1 cup of diced celery, 1 cup of diced onions, a hard-boiled 2 eggs, salt and pepper, and 1 stick of butter. I've got the oven preheating to 350 degrees. Sage,
Rosemary and thyme.
rosemary, and thyme.
No parsley, sage, rosemary.
First thing we're gonna do is
That was a joke.
now the recipe says that when we crumble this cornbread, we should get at least 6 cups. I'm thinking that's not gonna be but 4.5 to 5 cups at the most. But we're gonna
I
start.
was thinking more like 2 or 3 cups.
Well, we'll see. What we're going to do is we're going to start by sauteing our onions and celery in 1 stick of butter over medium heat. So let me get the skillet. We are melting 1 stick of butter. The oven just came to temperature. I'm going to turn this down.
That really stands for 350.
I'm going to turn this down to medium. I don't care if it's slow to melt. The skillet will be at the right temperature. I won't have to worry about it being too hot. While this is melting, Linda suggested I crumble it.
Do you want to measure it?
I'm going to measure it after it's crumbled. This is dry, ain't no doubt about that. I can feel it. While the butter is melting, it's almost melted to start sauteing our onions and celery. Went ahead and crumbled up the cornbread. We measured it in the measuring cup, and surprise, surprise, it was right at 5 cups. So what I'll do is I'll use just a little bit less sage, but I don't know that it matters that much. Anyway, I'm gonna go over here and turn it up just a little. I can hear them sizzling slowly. That's the way I like to cook. I like to do everything slowly. Do everything fast, your life just whizzes by. And I want mine to last as long as I can.
And you're only 90 now, so...
Yeah. Only 90.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, this one here, it looks like it'll work. I'll go ahead and spread these out, sizzle them down a little bit. Gonna take a while for this. We'll come back when they're just about, we don't want them brown. That's the main thing. You don't want them brown. You just want them to be what they call translucent. I knew it was going to take a while, so I prepared myself a fresh cup of coffee.
All right, we'll be back.
The celery and onions are just about tender. And what you do, you're gonna have to adjust how much chicken broth you use. Start with 2 cups. And since we have just a little bit less cornbread, we don't quite have 6 cups, we got 5 cups. I'm gonna start with 2 cups. That's about right. And what you do is, when your vegetables are tender, you warm up your broth in there. But you don't want to make it hot because you're going to have to mix everything together. I also added some salt and pepper to the vegetables while they were cooking. You'll go maybe 30 seconds to a minute just to warm this up a little bit. What we're going to do is we're going to put our eggs in this bowl and lightly mix them. I'm going to go ahead and turn the heat off on this. It's probably warm enough. I like the way you do it. So, but I couldn't tell if I had a bad egg or not, so. There's 1. 2. The recipe I saw said lightly scramble your eggs. I don't want no scrambled eggs. I want them mixed.
That's what it means. Honey. You're scrambling the eggs right there.
Okay.
It doesn't mean to cook them scrambled.
So, lightly. I guess this is light enough.
Break all your yolks up and get it nice and smooth.
Yeah, it didn't say get it smooth. It just said lightly. That's probably good. You can tell I'm not a cook. And then what you're gonna do, let's see if I can do this without spilling it.
I bet you can.
Oh yeah, it's a big bowl. I can't miss that. We're gonna add that.
It sure smells good. That's gonna be a bit too hot to mix with your hands. I would get that wooden spoon behind you.
We're gonna go ahead and add the eggs. Yeah, since it wasn't quite 6 cups of cornbread, I think the 2 cups of broth is going to be just about right.
It sure smells good.
You know, I think that's mixed up pretty good. So what we're going to do, I'm doing a little extra because my mama used to do it this way. Let's see if I can do this. I'm going to dice up 2 hard-boiled eggs to put in there.
Here's a nod to Mom, right?
Yeah.
I've never had it this way, so I'm anxious to try it. I never got to meet Dwight's mother, but she sounds like a real wonderful lady.
She was. It's all going to fall apart anyway. So it don't matter if that yolk comes out. Here's some little chunks of hard-boiled egg in there.
Let us know in the comments, do you guys put hard-boiled egg in your cornbread dressing? I've never heard of it. But it sounds like it would be good.
And before I mix it, I'm going to go ahead and get my 1 tablespoon of sage. Come on. Don't fall out all at once. That'd be a disaster.
Remember the pepper when we were camping? I made a dish and I opened the pepper thinking it was the shaking side and it was the pouring side, and yeah, that was a nightmare. But we ate it.
I am going to stir that.
So there's the sage.
I'm just going to sprinkle. Oh, no, I'm not. I'm going to use about a half of this, of oregano.
That's not oregano.
Oh, rosemary.
Rosemary.
That's right. This is the oregano.
No, that's thyme.
Oh, I keep seeing that word organic, and I see the OR, and I thought, oregano. I better pay attention next time I cook something that I'm expecting oregano, huh? I'll just do half, because I don't know about that. I know it'd add a little bit of flavor, but I want the sage to be the main character. And we'll stir all this up.
Sure smells good.
Now we're gonna bake this. I'm gonna check it at 30 minutes, but the recipe calls for 45. We will see what it looks like after 30. I think that's mixed up pretty well. And we're gonna go ahead and do this.
Sure smells good.
All right, now today, before I put it in the oven, I'm gonna double check. I got the broth, I got the onions, got the celery, got the butter, got the 3 eggs, got the sage.
You got the eggs?
Got the eggs. Since there wasn't much salt, I'm gonna add a little salt, pepper. I don't measure. If my mama and my aunt can cook without measuring, I can do it too. There you go. This almost makes a whole casserole dish. Of course, they never made enough for us. My brother and I always wanted them to make twice as much as they made, because I'm going to be honest, if you make a good cornbread dressing. That and my candied yams recipe are two favorite things on the menu for me. All right, now this we're gonna put in the oven. We're gonna set the timer to check it at 30, knowing good and well that it might take a little extra. And our internal thermometer says 350 on the money. Folks, we'll be back in 30 minutes. Well, the cornbread dressing has been in the oven for 30 minutes at 350 degrees.
Ooh, that looks good.
I'm gonna look at it. You know what? I don't want to burn it. It felt just right. So I'm gonna take it out after 30 minutes. Now, if it had been more dressing, you know, it might have taken the full 45 minutes, but I think 30 is plenty.
How long do we have to let it cool before we taste it? That smells really good.
I would say let's come back in about 15 minutes and see if it's cool enough.
All right.
If not, might have to be 30.
Let's do a flyby. That is beautiful.
So, we've let this cool a little over 15 minutes. We're going to give it a taste test. Here, I need a second opinion.
I got a piece with the egg, the celery, and the onion. You want my honest opinion?
Of course.
I think it needs more seasoning. It is good. I like it, but I think it needs more seasoning. I can hardly taste any sage or rosemary or thyme in there.
Sage is the main thing. I can taste it. But it's going to be tough because I'm going to have to adjust the whole recipe because I want more. Instead of 1 cup of flour and 1 cup of cornmeal, I'm going to go with 1 1/4 maybe 1 1/3 of each, so we'll have more.
So how are we going to tell which one to use for Thanksgiving?
I'm gonna leave it up to you.
I'm going to leave it up to you.
I like them both.
I like them both.
This is more of a traditional, at least in my family. But it's good with the sausage in it too, so I don't know.
What if we combined it a little bit? You add a little bit more seasoning, and instead of making all the cornbread crushed up, leave a few pieces larger so that we can taste it like those crouton type cornbreads, not that big. And just, you know, make yours, no sausage, but leave add a little bit more seasoning and leave a few pieces of the cornbread a little bit larger, well, for the top or something, so that we can have those little cornbread cubes on the top. That's, sorry guys, that's
A thirsty dog.
a thirsty dog. Good boy, Ronnie.
Well, those little cornbread cubes, they're the least favorite part for me of any of them. I like the sausage better than the
Okay.
little chunks of cornbread.
Well, I liked them both.
We could
So
make
let's
both.
go with yours.
We could actually, well, we could actually make both.
We'll see what happens. We'll let you know.
We'll let you know.
So mine is however many days old, 2 or 3 days old. I made it. This is the cornbread dressing with sausage, reheated. And this is the cornbread stuffing that Dwight just made, so it is still hot. Take a bite of both. Now yours. And you think about it. Let me take a bite of both. Oh, you don't need to show my mug. I haven't combed my hair today. I like them both.
Here, let me do it again.
There is, I'm not going to say it yet. I'm going to write it down. Of yours versus mine. So give me a second. You write yours down and I'll write mine down and we'll show them at the same time. Oh, I thought that was Ronnie. Here he is. Ronnie. Okay, I'm not watching. Dwight's writing down his choice and I wrote down my choice. This is our honest opinion.
They both need a little adjustment. But I mean, that was our first time of making it.
That was our first time each to make homemade cornbread and a homemade dressing. Stuffing goes in the bird, dressing does not. So I'm calling it a dressing.
Yeah.
Okay, on 3, we're going to turn our answers upside down, and that's the one. And whoever wins has to cook the cornbread. Right? We'll do the rest of the Thanksgiving dinner together, but this person has to do the cornbread.
We can both do it.
We can both do it.
We can help. You know,
Okay.
chop vegetables, whatever.
Okay, will it be Dwight's cornbread stuffing or Linda's cornbread dressing with sausage? Both are good. Ready?
1, 2, 3.
I chose Dwight's, and Dwight chose Dwight. Congratulations, you win. I really like the flavor of this. I really like the flavor of mine. This is really good. But you're right, the sausage in there. Maybe if I didn't put the sausage in it, it might taste more like Thanksgiving. So the reason why I chose yours was
The reason I chose
it
mine
tastes more like a cornbread dressing.
it's a traditional cornbread dressing.
But I think it needs a little bit more seasoning.
It needs more sage
More rosemary, more thyme, more sage, and
and a little bit more cornmeal and flour.
just whatever adds a
Just-
little bit more flavor.
So it'll make. Do you think one of these casseroles is with a little bit more? Say
Yeah.
You think that's enough for 6 people that's going to be here? It probably is.
We have the possibility of having 8, but this is enough for 6 to 8 people, yes.
Okay.
There's going to be other food, so they don't need to take giant pieces.
Okay.
Okay, so Dwight wins. Congratulations.
Yours is very good.
Mine was good, but I still think I think yours is better. Something about it. Maybe it's that boiled egg, I don't know. All right, congratulations.
Needs more sage, and need to make more.
Yes. All right.
Okay.